It's Shaves, and welcome to another edition of AniTube Digest. We're going over the best and not so best anime YouTube videos to come out this week from the 2nd of October to the 6th of October. I'm a bit early this week because of events and plans. I was like, all right, I'll do Digest on Sunday, and then I'll, instead of Monday. That's the only change. So I'm a little like a day early, so if you upload it on Monday, I apologize, and I'll get to you next week. But we're going to start with some videos I thought were decent. They're pretty good. And this first one's from Matteo Watz. What? I'm familiar that he's done Sakuga Mads before, but I haven't seen one in a while, or at least I don't know if I've even covered one on Digest before. Maybe I have. But this one is for the animator Shinsaku Kozuma, and it's set to the song Saishu Junrui. I gotta butcher that. Atarashi Gakko no Leaders. I looked up their album, and now I'm gonna listen to that album afterwards. That was a great song, and I think it matched really well with the kind of animation that Kozuma does here. He's quite the Kanada animator, huh? Obviously working with has some. I think he had one birth cut in there somewhere. I think so, but then it was a lot from Leda. Fatal Fury, not Fatal Frame, Fatal Fury, Dororo. I like that he includes like kind of this nice balance of modern and some of the more classic stuff. And Urusei Yatsura cut. It's really cool seeing. Like I had never heard of this animator before, but I had seen his work before. Like I know that episode of Urusei Yatsura and stuff like that. I've certainly seen cuts here and there, and probably even like stuff that you didn't show in the Sakuga Mad that is indicative of his style, because I've seen that very. Like it is kind of like Kanada, but it's a lot floatier. It's like ooh, like a lot of slow motion and stuff. It's really interesting. And there's something kind of with the reason I think the song works so well. There's something about like the staccato-y epic way that the vocals are going, like da 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 da. Like kind of, I don't know. There was something about like the pace of the song. It's not like you sync this like an AMV or something that's like super snappy. It's a Sakuga Mad where it's just unbroken sequences of this one animator's work, but you can still place them throughout the song in ways that like are effective. Like I think the best part of this was like he's working on some fairly okay well-known-ish stuff, and then like towards the end of this song there's a huge breakdown and guitar solo type of thing, really intense moment, and that's where Matteo uses this clip from Evangelion of escaping from that one angel like emerging from out of it, and it has all the blood and stuff that Chainsaw Man referenced last year in their OP. That sort of it's like, it was really cool to see that, and I think it worked really well with that part of the song as kind of a crescendo moment. And I think mods like this, it's not just demonstrating this person's style and but obviously getting to know their name to the work that you like, but it's also like connecting thing, like it's just demonstrating that somebody made this, like there's a person who made this, and that same person was responsible. Here's some other stuff that they did, that sort of connective tissue. I think it's like, it seems really obvious we putting it like that, but I just think like I want to see more of that. You know what I mean? Just making it more connectivity, bringing names to these sorts of things, so that we have a better understanding of this work. You know what I mean? And enjoy and appreciate it more. Yeah, but I really like this Sakuga Mad. I really enjoyed it. Coolest heist anime I've ever seen, from SNK Jay. I don't think I've talked about his videos before, but I am familiar with him because he put out that this one like where to start on Lupin the Third type of thing. Did very successfully. I think it was his first video too. But then I haven't clicked on too many of his videos beyond that. But that was obviously on my radar as someone who also made a Lupin video around that time. But yeah, this is a if you can't tell by the thumb, it's a great Pretender video. And generally I like videos that are talking about anime, or specifically seasonal, like stuff that came out recently, but not like topically, like, oh, it just came out, like it's hot to talk about it now. but I like that. I like a 2020 anime in a 2023 video. I just enjoy that, and he talks about like kind of sleeping on it for a while, and it's just like, oh wow, I'm happy I finally get to it and everything. It makes a lot of similar observations of like it's kind of neat, the Freddie Mercury's, the OP, and that thing with the title and the stuff like that, and then the language stuff that's shown in this anime and stuff. It's stuff that I kind of already knew from like other Great Pretender videos that people have covered. I haven't even seen the show really, but it's just that sort of osmosis thing. There wasn't a ton that I think wasn't covered elsewhere, but that's fine because I like new perspectives, and I think this was my first like proper J video in terms of like just experiencing like and not having the concept be such a weighty thing. Just having like a regular video from him, I guess. Like they're all regular videos, of course. But I just like his very casual delivery, very down to earth, and you can tell there's lightness of other things he's experienced and enjoyed, his personal perspective and taste and stuff like that. It's enjoyable. It's low stakes. It's comfy. I enjoyed it. Nice job. Another one that was kind of in that similar vein, the Bees Steeze. I think this. I don't think I've talked about any of their videos either. Watch this stupid frog anime. I was like a Sergeant Frog video. All right, sure. What do you got? And this is sort of like a nostalgic pick for them, and talking about just how much they enjoy the characters. It was really just a character showcase. Just summarizing each of the characters with the frogs, and then with the human characters, some side characters and stuff. You don't notice he necessarily highlights any particular episodes he enjoys, or any overarching things. Not like I'm looking for like themes in Sergeant Frog. Not to belittle it or anything. I just, from having done the chapters for this release, having to scroll through the episodes, I'm familiar that it's very sketch comedy. It's very like I think a lot of the episodes appear to me to be mostly two-part episodes, kind of like Arthur, where there's it's like two half episodes almost, like early Urusei Yatsura, if you're familiar. Yeah, which is it's kind of unusual for anime, but it's not like super encyclopedic or breakdown like that so much. It was really just a focus on the characters. I think that was a fair enough approach for it. But I like his humor. I like his again, his very casual delivery. And again, I just really appreciate the focus of something that's just sort of like something that you care about, and not simply what was, this will get attention or whatever, like being kind of provocative or something. Because I feel like YouTube is just really really provoking and rewarding that. You know what I mean? And sometimes that's cool, but it's it's not the only thing you need. I don't know. I just really enjoyed this perspective, and yeah, I like it. It was chill. It was nice. So the Trigger channel has done a staff audio commentary already for episode 1, but I wanted to highlight episode 6. Just that's just the one I just ended up getting interested in because that's sort of the standout episode, and I think they're only doing episodes 1, 6, and 10, which is interesting. But yeah, it obviously features Kai Igarashi, which is like the big name that everyone kind of heard about and were of all a buzz about when that show came out in that one episode. But I like this also included Yoshiyuki Kaneko, who is the episode director of episode 6, as well as Yo Yoshinari, of course. It's really those three sitting at a table watching the episode, and like you don't see the episode obviously, and they have this kind of a clumsy thing at the beginning where they're like, yeah, so this is a reaction, and so there's a timer in the corner, and you can go at the same time, but we need to ask you to have it playing on a different screen. Yeah. Because obviously, right, they can't really even though they're the studio that made it, they probably don't have the permission of Netflix, etc., Project Red, whatever, to be showing any clips or anything. It is what it is. But they do just kind of have to film the reaction. It's a kind of reaction video style almost, which is interesting. Not quite as audio commentary-ish, because it also has kind of like room audio. It's not the clearest audio, and it's not wholly proper subtitles really. It's closed captions, it is subbed technically, but I found that them kind of lacking and a little incomplete in places. I don't know. Obviously, also like these guys are talking very off the cuff, and they don't have the most like prepared statements or certain things like that. But I think the value of this video ultimately was to see their dynamic with each other, and again, getting a name and a face to these people. So I had heard of Kai Igarashi for 2 or 3 years or something like that, maybe shorter than that, but like his Gridman episode, right? But this is the first time I get to see him as a person, and that was just really entertaining because he's kind of a goof. He's very a little eccentric, and I'm like, oh, he'll fit right in, because it's like I like that about these anime creators. It's just like the ones that have a personality and obviously like a lot of insight and stuff. It's always very valuable to hear from these people and not just kind of mythologize them based on what they've worked on. So like I really enjoyed a recent interview that Matteo did with Goro Taniguchi, who's the director of Code Geass, Planetez, Revius, One Piece Film Red, but they mainly talk about Planetez, Code Geass. I think pretty much those two. And it was just really nice to see his outlook and his personality being shown in this interview and stuff, and their perspective on things. But yeah, it's really cool seeing them bounce off of each other and what they've worked on, and little bits of behind the scenes. They would show occasional storyboards and some stuff on screen and stuff, but they could show at least, which was nice. But I only got so much out of this substantively, but I think vibes wise, I was just very pleased about it. Just to hear them bounce off each other, and also again to like getting a name and face to Yoshiyuki Kaneko, because I barely heard of him. Like Kai Igarashi pretty much did the storyboards for this episode, and I think he was involved with the the animation direction. Yeah, Kai Igarashi was the storyboard artist, but also an animation director on this episode. And yeah, just getting their perspective and how they bounce off each other was just really great to see. A rare glimpse into that sort of thing, Yeah, I really enjoyed that. But yeah, it was really, really cool. Yeah. BmoreBrass. Sorry, but BmoreBrass? Is that it? Is that it? I'm sorry. Again, first time I've talked about their channel, heard of them really. And I clicked it mainly because Shocking was in it and like tweeted about it. And replay value was in this too. That was pretty cool. But these four guys, they do a anime fantasy draft. I've never, so this is really interesting. I'm not big into fantasy football or kind of that sort of drafting picks and stuff. And then applying that to anime was really interesting. I was kind of confused for most of the video of like, to what end is this, like, okay, you're picking these for what end? Like, oh, I think this will do well. What is that? Mouse scores? Is that popularity? Is that what? And I think that at the end, I just don't know if the rules were entirely clear to me, I guess. But maybe I was just confused or something. But I did get it by the end that at the end of the season, the 4 shows that they picked, whichever ones have the highest accumulated MAL score, is the one that wins, and I guess the loser, whichever, I don't know how they decided the loser. The rules were kind of weird, but at least the rules in the process of choosing the shows was clear enough. And you know what's so funny? This is a side thing, I whatever, but like their styling, the text, the font that they use, and the saturated background and everything. I am not saying it's ripping me off or anything. I just find it really funny and interesting that I used nearly, I think, the exact font and style, like to the whiteness and everything, the way it moved, the text moves and everything is very reminiscent of my how to anime video, the one with Astro Boy on the cover. One of my first videos, like really, really old. I just found that really interesting. That it was kind of similar stylistically. And I was like, whoa. I just was like kind of spooked by that, but obviously I'm not implying anything. I just think that's funny. Um, yeah, and I like the idea here of going around and then coming back around of like choosing a show to have in your roster of like what do you think will do well. I thought I just was like, are there more stakes to this where like it, it would be kind of it would kind of suck. It would be but maybe it'd be even more intense or whatever. Um, but like I was thinking, it's like wouldn't it be crazy if like the shows that you pick, you have to watch them, but also like the other three can't watch them. You know what I mean? Like you can watch them after the season is done, but you're doing this round pick of the being in this thing, and it's like I get to watch this show, and other people like, you're I don't know. Obviously, they watch all the shows that they're talking about, but it's generally them talking about the fall seasonals in this way was really nice. I really enjoyed it because it was a throwback. I have not really been consuming or giving a shit about seasonal anime for kind of a while. I was certainly more into it like last fall just because of this just so happened of like it seemed like insanely stacked, and it was. And I was like, oh, I'll come back. I'll jump back in for one season, but then future season I've really not been. Especially the last couple have seemed like complete snoozers. Like, really, guys? And this is what we and yeah. But I really liked that this was a kind of a fresh new way of engaging with these works, and I liked that they had already looked at the lists and already made their analyses of like, oh, this is the director, like this is why you should be. It was finally somebody actually gave me a reason why I should care about Freyren, because like I keep seeing on the TL, I'm like, guys, I haven't said this or anything, but it's like it looks okay. It looks like a fantasy series. Like, all right, what's the special sauce about this? It doesn't look that particularly incredible or whatever. I guess it's exciting because it's an hour long or 2 hour, not 2 hour, but like at least an extended first episode, and then it's going to be like an uninterrupted two core. But then I think it was Replay that finally was like, yeah, it's directed by the person who did Bocchi the Rock last year. I was like, oh, that's exciting. Oh, that's interesting. Because I think that's like a pretty fresh director. I don't even know their name. I should, but like that's exciting. That's interesting. But I had literally never heard of this title before until this was like, there's gonna be anime of the year, you guys. I was like, what, really? Okay. But yeah, like all these guys know their shit in terms of like have looked into it. I've been watching this scene fairly closely and like talking about Dr. Stone of like, yeah, the best arcs are behind it, but this is still pretty okay. Like they're very in the scene, in the latest scene, I guess. That's neat. That's cool. um couldn't be me, but but yeah, it was a throwback for me, I guess, when I cared more about this sort of thing back in like 2015, 16. But maybe some of these guys have been doing it since then. I don't know. Am I that old? Is that it? Oh no. No, but I enjoyed that. Yeah. It was just it was a refreshing new way of talking about the latest ones without being slavishly talking about every single one. You weren't talking about every new sequel or every new one. It wasn't exhaustively thorough, and it wasn't fresh. It wasn't just like, all right, haven't looked at this list at all. Let's sit down and scroll through AniList and see what we got. I liked that this was a little more after the fact, where they've already kind of made they've done their research, they've done their looking and inspections and such like that. I appreciated that. It's just nice because it's not fresh, but it's not the first episode has come out. You know what I mean? I liked that, like, this is kind of around the time around the first episode, but none of this was judging off one episode or something. Because that's another, like, kind of a cliche at this point for me for, like, fall seasonal previews, is they always just have to sample the first episode. I mean, yeah, that's common sense, I guess, but it just uh to me, it's just so overdone, I guess. Or I don't know. It's routine. It's not as exciting and fresh as this something kind of in the middle and something kind of competitive with four people kind of like talking amongst each other and a little bit of a competitive ship going on, some kind of game, I guess, you know. What is some kind of game? No, no. Obviously, yeah. But yeah, I enjoyed that. It's cool. Ookie! And now what I thought were the best videos of the week. What I thought were the best videos. Why am I so weird? Oh well. Ember Reviews. Pokemon. End of a journey. Damn. Good thumb. Nice thumb. But yeah, I was really happy to have his thoughts about journeys in particular, and also he didn't. I'm happy he didn't say this at the start, but like towards the end, I was a little satisfied by this. But he's like, out of the seasons he's completed, this is his like, I think he said it was his least favorite, but not like it didn't feel overly critical at all, which was really nice. It didn't feel like super salty of like anti-poke type of thing, and I like that he called them out a couple times, or is like, you know, kind of bucked the trends of a lot of people's perceptions of that season, I guess, which I appreciated. Without totally, I feel like they could have dug in a little deeper. I don't know. Ultimately, a bit more positive than I've seen, and that I've had the impression of, I guess, from this sort of thing, from this season, I guess. And it's very, you know, you're kind of. I will say this. I almost is reminding me of Craftsdwarf, and Craftsdwarf has a video that I just watched as well, and I just kind of connected you to. Just like you kind of have a similar, no, no fancy tricks types of style. Like the strip just kind of goes, very little in the way of structure. There's a loose structure, and you can glean it, but it doesn't have this big. It doesn't have a production to it. Both of your guys' videos are pure anime clips. I like that Ember had a little cute trick of the, you know, moving out from the screen to talk to the audience in front, and to preface his point about like the reason the Suicune episode doesn't work for him was a visual thing. I still felt that like his description of it was a bit slavish, being, you know, 18 seconds and 12 seconds, that sort of thing. It was, but it made sense with the preamble there and all that sort of thing. I think it was a good save. Not that was a bad point or anything. I would have agreed with you on principle, just for the fact that the dude caught a Suicune with no effort. you know, I was surprised. Obviously, comparing the game to the anime is a bunk argument. Like it's like don't even bother, like don't even try. But it's like there are certain things you could have been taking from the games where you wouldn't get as much of a dissonance. But obviously, you're taking from the rest of the anime where it's like you do need to weaken the Pokemon at some rate, in some way. But also, like, I hate to bring this up, but catch rates. You know, just because the Suicune is in the red, even if it was like in low health or something, it's still a hard catch if you're not gonna paralyze it or sleep it or anything. Yeah, I know it doesn't need to be congruous to the game the whole time, obviously not. But things like that. No, yeah, I think any person who's followed this series could get reasonably upset about that choice. Especially like I'm not even familiar with how Suicune is treated the rest of the series, because does he even show up after that? Like Go just kind of collects him, right? And what is he just going to keep him at Professor Oak's, not Oak's, or whoever's their lab or whatever? The way he stuffs the rest of his Pokemon, it's like, it's, all right. Yeah, but like, I really like this. It feels like with both Ember and Crafts is kind of coming from this like old school heyday of anime YouTube, which is really just clips and maybe some backing music, but really just script and go, which really feels easy. This video did not feel like an hour for me. I just felt very engaged and fascinated because it's a long 150 something episode show, and I know that you're coming from an even-headed place and an educated place, and not from like a stoking of heated passion, like your ire for this thing that would kind of blindside you to any um, fairness, I guess. Um, yeah, it went down really easy, and I was perfectly fine not skipping the spoilery part because it is kind of part of the whole. That's the whole thing of that one special that you talk about. I appreciated that, and yeah, you didn't really dig too deep into Ash of like what is how he's treated at the end with like the last series, the last chunk of the last season basically. Um, but I agree with your point that it's ultimately nice that they went with something that's like it's not definitive, it's not trying to wrap a bunch of shit up, it's not like conventional. It's just really just more of the same, which is to be emblematic of the kind of character that Ash is representing, where it's like the destination really it's life. You know what I mean? Not all of us have a destination per se, where like once we get Pokemon Master, it's the end of the it's a lot more grounded and realistic, which is like so cool to see for a series like Pokemon, which is always so maligned as this like omnipotent not omnipotent, but like memed on. Like people, it kind of transcends anime for people. Like they don't kind of treat it as an animated as an anime because it's such a massive franchise or something like that. And you had all these people who experienced that boom, having been anime fans and seeing how explosive and runaway Pokemon was. To they kind of just they treat it kind of cynically, I guess. But to see it have that kind of ending, which is actually fairly, maybe people consider it a cop out or something, but I consider it fairly mature. So I enjoy that. Yeah, it was a great video. I really enjoyed it. Study of Schwartz, a Gretzko video, The Limits of Critique, and I was obviously very ooh, good limit critique. Ooh. The subtitle there is just really fascinating, but really doesn't address it until the last fourth of the video because it's its own section. It's really kind of an overview or analysis of a Gretzko, and like he's just really straightforward about his feelings on seasons 3 and 4 of what they do, and it's just like a brief mention. It's like, hey, we're moving on. It's like don't. So that way the audience, like me, I definitely would have been like, wait, so what about season 3 and 4? Why'd you skip to 5? I have not seen any of Gretzko, so I wouldn't understand that. But I like that was just kind of, you're like, that's that. This is what I want to focus on. And the structure of that, I also really appreciated that you actually mentioned that it started as a 100 episode short series and describing what that is and actually contrasting it with what the ONA was. Because I thought for the longest time that maybe the ONA, the Netflix version was just a compilation of those shorts. But that doesn't seem to be the case, and I'm happy somebody finally fucking clarified that for me. I was just like really confused, honestly. And ultimately this idea with its origins as a product, as a mascot character, and what it's representing, and how that limits itself in its themes, I guess, or I don't know, your critique, or I don't know if I fully connected or stuck with what you were trying to describe or anything towards the end. I found ultimately the more valuable section was just your general, here's what Gretzko is doing, and this is like kind of what it's trying to accomplish without like, wow, it's a great show, guys. It's I felt like a lot of other Gretzko videos felt like that, where it's just like, great show, yeah, really, wow, really fun and relatable, haha, or something. I just like that it was yeah, very straightforward and additive in my opinion. Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Nice, great job. Yes, the Craftsdwarf video. This showed up around like towards the end when I was almost done with all reacting to everything. It was like, perfect, great timing. It's an analysis of 3 acts of Wano, and it's not a slavish analysis, which I really appreciate. It's not a fucking plot summary. Oh my god. And somehow, again, it's like Ember's video, does not feel like 36 minutes at all. felt very it was very bite-sized each, because it's basically 3 essay videos in one, and when it says it's an analysis in 3 acts, it's just 3 ideas. And it kind of like his other One Piece videos, which I've since seen, having watched them after the fact, that now that I'm actually into One Piece, and understand it and can appreciate them. Yeah, it's sort of like taking a synthesis of all of Wano, and not really, and really focusing on just Wano. And it's impressive that he's able to create, like, establish this entire idea and create a fully fleshed analysis out of just one arc. I mean, sometimes he'll maybe draw small threads, like, yeah, this has been here since the beginning, or this has been here, so like just as Luffy and like Fishman or something like that. It doesn't feel like super stressed under its own weight of being a One Piece analysis. I feel like you could go way overboard sometimes. Not Craft specifically. I think just like One Piece analysis is something I would imagine there's that concern of just being this insanely over thorough freaking whatever, and but it's crazy how like he's just able to get really small things from every bit of the arc. Not every, but not have the confidence to be like, that's okay if it doesn't cover everything. Like barely covers over like Yamato or something like that. And other aspects, Yasue is shown in bits where it's necessary, but it's not a huge deal. Toko's not a huge deal, and that's all cool. Or like all the Ringo stuff with Kawamatsu and the dog spirit and other things like that. And Komurasaki is a limited sort of thing, but he only is taking what is necessary, but feels very thorough. Even just like what really obviously impressed me was like he's even able to take stuff from the very beginning of Wano with the sumo wrestler and some of those early parts, and it doesn't feel like he's summarizing anything. It's like he's talking about it, assuming you've already seen it and experienced it, and full freedom to kind of go from Gear 5 to back to this other thing, back to this other character, and just kind of making a motion like this. It feels like it's an analysis kind of goes in like very pointed directions, but like swoop, and you can kind of always follow it. Sometimes like very quickly. Other times, I feel like there may have been moments in the third analysis about Ace and Odin, where there was a lot of that, like the same like this, the same like this, the same like this, the same like this, the same like this. I don't there. It felt kind of the stringing that felt very, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, if that makes sense. I don't know. I don't know if it does. But yeah, it was just really impressive that he didn't feel like he was biting this and making the definitive analysis or anything like that. But it's sort of like the thing he's wanting to say is like, oh, I'm really liking this, of like Luffy's representing the sun and the moon by representing both Odin and Ace, and like making these connections and ideas and grounding them in evidence and in, not just pet theory or anything. There's no theory shit in this, even though he does kind of introduce theories, like everyone's like, oh, the well established fan assumption that it was going to be 5 acts, but it's really just 3 acts or whatever. Things like that was like really cool. Really cool. Yeah, it was just like really nice. Wow. I really like it a lot. And it intimidates me, I guess, with talking about One Piece in any narrative capacity, in any sort of like talking about the story or characters or anything. It's because it's like I would feel overwhelmed, but it's you make it seem so easy, and you have this confidence about it. It's just really impressive. Yeah, I love the piss out of it. STEVEM, why does Studio Ghibli food look so umaso? I'm happy that he actually he really challenges himself on this one. I think that the last third of this video takes a direction I don't think I've seen him do, where it sounds off script and he's talking about a project or a process, because kind of the fun thing he tries here is like, let's see if we can try to animate our own cut of Studio Ghibli food or whatever, using what he talks about in the first two-thirds of like what are the things that why actually though, and it's sort of in the same trademark and what you would expect from him: light humor, extremely rigorous research, lots of quotes, lots of lots of names. It's not just Miyazaki, Takahata, but yeah, and then crediting a lot of these different departments and everything like that, and giving you the realistic perspective, like in terms of like this is how much it takes to do this sort of thing. But then I think that, yeah, I think the value, the really, all of that itself would have been valuable and kind of in the best regardless, because it's just peerless. There were still really not that many people doing this amount in this sort of like stylized, elevated, engaging way. It's no wonder you get this, you're having the success that you are, I think. But then the last third, where you actually kind of, it sounds like you're going out of your comfort zone. You're challenging yourself, doing something that's difficult and a little mediocre towards the end, as you admit. I think it's beautiful, especially the background that you do. I think the idea, all showing the process, how he like drew all the frame and then printed a bunch of them out to kind of imitate that look or whatever, or things. So obviously kind of shoots past me sometimes. But I always just like, I don't know, just seeing you printing these, showing you printing this stuff out or doing the drawing, and obviously being honest about what you were feeling and like what you were going through with your wrist and everything like that. All of that is just really fascinating, and yeah, it's really engaging as a video. Yeah, and it just adds to it, and something a unique, kind of throwing something new there. And I like taking this as a concept and not just as a extended Twitter thread, which you had. And this is like, I think this is the second or third time maybe, but like you're continuing to do this thing where you find this sort of rabbit hole about Ghibli, make a Twitter thread about it, and then make a video afterwards to kind of like crystallize it, I guess, which makes complete sense, because Twitter is not really a place of curation like that, because it's not really formatted that way. Whereas YouTube, you can just see a person's library and it's all there. I think it's just really smart. Rest in peace to your cat. I'm very sorry for your loss. I hope they rest easy, and I hope you and your family are doing well with that. Yeah. And I really enjoyed the video a lot. Great job. And I'm gonna give best video of the week to the second upload from Nonsensu, which I talked about, I think last week, if not the week. Yeah, I think, yeah, last week. They uploaded a new video, much longer and much more stuff going on. That I just, it wasn't as much of a, the last video felt a lot more like a experiment and something I couldn't necessarily follow, but it was nice. I liked the concept behind it. I liked where it was going. This felt a lot more well realized and followable and very evocative. Endless Everyday, it's a concept in Japan, and they use quotes from books, and it's like the same kind of automated voice, which sounds automated at least. That's just describing this quote and just speaking this quote and describing this concept of the endless everyday, where it kind of looping into that lost generation thing and kind of a Japanese concept of like aimlessness, loss of time and purpose, and yeah, it kind of like they're trapped in this constant, I guess, and it's a weird meditation on time, relationship to nature, trying to escape into the countryside to kind of escape this endless and everyday, a routine, something like that. I just think that was really fascinating without being super on the nose with references and things like that. Obviously, like, you know, certain things, it's like certain popular shows like Lane again and Evangelion are used. Eva's used pretty significantly. There's two quotes that they use. One at the beginning is describing the Endless Everyday, and the other one is talking about Ava and its relation to the Endless Everyday, I guess, and how the apocalypse is kind of like kept on pause or in perpetual, hovering in a stasis, and the planet, because of the second impact, is in such a way that it's permanently summer. It was always a concept, a world building thing in Ava that I never really recognized until this video, which I really liked. But really, the standout amazing thing about this for me was that so much of this 15 minutes is comprised of unbroken anime clips, full sound, and just kind of like playing them back to back, connecting them like puzzle pieces, where one of them is like, talking about going on a trip, and the next one's with Ava and they're going on that trip or whatever, and now they're in nature, and it's the other characters, like they're just connecting this concept with other shows that are indirectly addressing it in a way, and they're kind of bleeding into one another. Like this one, like towards the end, they have a clip from, I actually don't know what the anime is. It's on the thumbnail here, and it's her swinging back and forth, and connects it to, so Nonsense connects it to the end of Ava scene with the swing going back and forth. It's a similar color scheme, and there's also kids playing in the playground, connecting it like a Boogie Pop Phantom clip of like trying to escape their real life by escaping into their childhood or something like that, and then connecting that to Ava. And the ways that things were melting into each other, and the unexpectedness of some of these clips, where like suddenly there's a clip from and yet the town moves, I believe is the clip. What was really evocative too, and I commented this, that was like, for a lot of this I was dying to know what some of these what some of this media was from. It's not just anime. There's at least one clip from a Japanese live action. I don't know if I think it's a TV series because it's in 4:3. I believe it was. I don't remember actually. I don't know. I wasn't sure if it was a movie or not, but I like that clip. Oh yeah, because it was just like, let's go, like kidnap me, and let's go somewhere, and then it's cuts to on a train, and then Ava on a train, and I don't know, or maybe I'm misremembering it. Yeah, it just was so thought-provoking with next to any commentary, without almost any. It was really just the two quotes from books that were automatic, like read by some AI, or maybe that is the person's voice, but it sounds very robotic and synthetic. And I'm, but that's cool. That's not bad. I'm just saying that's how it sounds like to me. But then the rest of it is just these synthesizing of different clips, of letting the media speak for itself. I thought that was really incredible. It's kind of like an AMV or a Sakura mat almost, but not really for either of those cases, because it's not like in that sort of sense. I don't know. I was just really shocked and pleasantly enamored by it. I really enjoy it. It is phenomenal. Please check this video out. Seriously. Oh my God. Great. It's great. All right, that'll do it for this installment of AniTube Digest. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are great. You have a great week. Yo, peace.